Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Combating Cancer. My name is Gwen Kelly, and I am your host. I'm so thrilled that you guys came back to listen to me talk again on another Wednesday. Hi, I hope you guys are doing well. So, a little bit of background information about me for my first time listeners here is that I was diagnosed with stage 3 astrocytoma brain cancer at the age of 19. And the entire reason why I created Combating Cancer is because I wanted to have a safe space where people that were either going through a remission, active treatment, or lost a loved one could come on and talk about their experiences. Well, with all that being said, let's jump into it. So today's topic is going to be about Scanxiety, and I'm actually super excited to have this conversation with all of you guys today because this is something that I've actually been dealing with a lot. So if you're not familiar with the term Scanxiety, it's exactly what it sounds like. The anxiety that comes with having to get a follow-up scan after cancer treatment. Even when you're in remission, those scans can feel like you're holding your breath, waiting for a verdict on your future. And for me, that's exactly what happens. I have scans every 90 days, and realistically, I live my life 90 days at a time, and even though my scans have been clean so far, knock on wood, that anxiety never really goes away. And as the date gets closer, it builds up. I'm a mess. I'm doing a full MRI with contrast and blood work, and it's really exhausting emotionally and mentally. And I think the hardest thing about this scan isn't necessarily the scan itself, it's the days beforehand. I can't sleep. I lose my appetite. I am literally so moody. My emotions are going up and down, and I'm grumpy. As my dad says, my nose gets pointy when I get upset. I just am, quite frankly, a little bit unbearable. Underneath it all, there's just this heavy melancholy, not because something is wrong with me physically, but it's just the fact that something could be. And, I'll find out when I walk into that doctor's office. And I just constantly have this little voice in the back of my head whispering, like, what if your cancer's back? That's scary. And I really try to get vulnerable on this podcast, which is not typically my thing to do whatsoever. Because if you know me in my personal life, I do not like talking about myself. But I just think it's important to talk about this because the truth is, and I know this is going to sound bad when I say it, and some of you are going to be like, well, that's really sad and depressing. But I constantly live with the fear that my cancer's going to come back. And one of these days, I'll walk into that appointment. I'll look my doctor in the eye and I'll hear those words again that the cancer is back. And to me, that's just so paralyzing. But kind of what I realized about this entire process is that when I'm going through this anxiety, it's more of the fear of the future rather than the fear of the scan. I start to spiral and I'm like, okay, as of right now, I'm 22, almost 23. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I'm living a great life. I'm happy with all my relationships. I'm happy with my work. I'm just so unbelievably blessed. And I only have to provide for myself, right? But it's like, what if in a couple years I go and get my scans and I'm married. I have kids. And what if my cancer comes back and I can't make it this time and I can't watch my kids walk down the aisle? And it's the unknown that haunts me more than the actual scan itself. And I know that someone out there also feels the same. When you're so young, you're trying to make something of your life and you're trying to live your dreams and make all these plans. And, you always have this kind of like shadow behind you. They say that your like own shadow can scare you. And my shadow was that cancer coming back. But here's the thing. When I kind of get down these rabbit holes of spiraling and not knowing what to do, I kind of sit back there and think, okay, here's the thing. Nothing can be worse than finding out you have cancer for the first time. And I know that sounds really morbid. And for those of you who have heard me talk before, you guys know that I have dark humor. I'm not saying that dark humor is the best approach to this, but it works for me. If I'm not laughing about all of the crappy things that have happened to me in my life, I'm going to cry about it. But I already knew that I had cancer. So it's kind of like, okay, when I go in for my scans, if it comes back, it comes back. I'll know how to handle it this time. Like, I know all of these little cheat codes. I know that if my cancer comes back, I know I'm immediately going to have to start doing radiation and chemotherapy. And I know I'm going to lose hair. But thankfully for me, I was given so many hats So I don't have to go out and spend my money and buying hats because I'm going to be bald again, right? I know this. And I know there's going to be days where I'm going to feel sorry for myself. And I know there's going to be days where I'm going to be like, why me? But I've already done it. And I know what works for me and I know what doesn't work for me. And that's okay. So instead of letting this fear paralyze me that my scans may not come back good, I have to focus on what can I control. And the only things that I can control is my response to a situation and my attitude. I need to go in there every single time with a positive mindset that my scans are going to be good. I relied heavily on my relationship with God the entire time while I was going through treatment. And I could not have gone through it without him. But I also couldn't have gone through it without the love and the support of my friends and family, and being able to talk to them and being able to have them tell me that I'm loved and that they'll do anything they can for me. And during these times, you also need to lean on them while you're having these anxieties. You have to remind yourself that you're not alone. And, anxiety is something that we don't talk about enough. But it's something that almost every single survivor I've talked to faces. It's not only hard for us, but it's also hard for our families too. And here's the thing. The day before I go into my scans, I get so many text messages from people I haven't talked to in years or months. And they'll be like, "Hey Gwen, we're thinking about you. We're praying for you. We love you. Good luck tomorrow." And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how did they know that? How did they know that I had scans? And I look over at my parents and I was like, wow, like, you guys told people, huh? Like, you guys told people that June 9th is my next scan date, and I'm like already receiving messages and good luck texts and everything. And they give me a smile and they're like, "Gwen, you have no idea like how loved you are, and people care about you. They want to see you thrive. They want to see you live the life that you deserve to live." And people don't just stop caring for you like when you're done with treatment. They still want to follow you and pray for you and be there for you post treatment, because it's very hard to have to live your life in between these scan dates. And that's what support looks like. Even when we forget that we have that support, it shows up. It shows up for me a lot, and I'm so unbelievably thankful to everyone. And something that really gets me through these times as well, whether it be support from the community, my family, is really this one piece of advice that my dad will continue to give me daily. Sometimes he reminds me too much of this, but especially when I'm really struggling with my anxiety, is that he says, "Yesterday's gone, tomorrow isn't promised, and all we have is today." Here's the thing. I could find out I have cancer again, or I could go outside and all of a sudden be hit by a car. We don't know how much time we have on this earth, and that's okay. But I can't live my life crippled in fear that my cancer is going to come back and I'm not going to be able to beat it this time, or I'm going to die, because that's no way of living. I can't continue to live in that fear. It's really hard because I know that when I go in for those scans, I'm going to get an answer. But here's the thing. It's just results. It's only going to be results. And I just have to take the results for what they are and then deal with it later. And it's blunt, but it's really true. And all I can do is just be grateful that I woke up today and be happy that I'm able to laugh and allow myself to cry when I'm feeling upset, because cancer is very scary. It's very hard to constantly know that in 90 days I could find out my cancer's back. Like, that's hard. But we can have those bad days where we're crippled with the fear, but that's why it's so important to be able to talk to people about it, because if we talk to someone else, they have such a better ability to calm us down and kind of give us a reality check, because we ourselves can go into a mini spiral. They can kind of sit there and be like, "Hey, Gwen, like, it's gonna be okay. We got this. We'll get through this together. Like, I know that your scans are gonna be good. I believe that they're gonna be good. And I know you may not believe it today, and it's okay to have a bad day, but we're gonna get through this." And it's important not to bottle it up, because if you bottle up how anxious you are, and how scared you are, it's gonna come out over something silly like dropping a plate and you're crying and you're screaming and everyone knows you're not crying because you dropped a plate, or you're crying because of all of those heavy unspoken feelings that we're so scared to tell people about because we think that they're going to judge us. But your family and your friends love you more than anyone, and all they want to do is support you and love you. I just strongly encourage anyone going through this to know that it always helps to talk to someone. They'll remind you that you're not alone and you're not unlovable, that they'll love you with or without hair. Because here's the thing, the truth is that cancer doesn't stop after remission. The anxiety, the trauma, it lingers. And we need to keep showing up for ourselves and each other even after the treatments are done. Whether you're waiting for your scans, recovering from treatment, or just figuring out the what ifs. I see you and I understand what you're going through, and I know how scary it can be. I highly encourage you to just try to talk to someone because you can't keep bottling it in. I really hope that this episode helps someone that was going through anxiety and made someone feel a little bit more understood and a little bit more seen. Please share it with someone who you feel like might need to hear this message, and I'd love to connect with anyone. My messages are always open. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Once again, I always say if you would love to be a guest on this podcast or if you want to be a corporate sponsor, please feel free to email me. And as always, my door's open. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are always so amazing, and I'm so appreciative of all the support and kind messages that I get. So, guys, thank you so much for constantly listening to me chat it up on here, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next Wednesday.